SITREP World Briefing for July 23, 2026. The United States intensified its military campaign against Iran on July 23rd, while President Donald Trump publicly threatened a new form of retaliation tied to shipping attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said Washington would destroy one piece of civilian infrastructure for every Iranian attack on a ship in the waterway. The statement marked an escalation as the war moved into its 11th day. The U.S. threat was delivered alongside additional American strikes on Iran and against a backdrop of mounting danger to commercial shipping routes that carry a large share of the world's seaborne oil trade. The Strait of Hormuz, which sits between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula, is one of the most strategically sensitive maritime choke points in the world. The latest confrontation also intersected with claims by Yemen's Houthis of attacks on oil tankers. The United States and Saudi Arabia signed a civilian nuclear cooperation agreement in Riyadh on July 23rd, with U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright and Saudi Energy Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman formalizing the pact and a separate bilateral safeguards deal. Neither Washington nor Riyadh released full technical details of the agreement, but the announcement presented the accord as a multi-billion-dollar civilian nuclear package and a landmark political understanding between two long-standing security partners. Saudi Arabia has for years sought outside support to build a domestic nuclear energy program, arguing that atomic power would help it meet rising electricity demand and free more hydrocarbons for export, as it pursues broader economic diversification. Civilian nuclear cooperation with Saudi Arabia has long been politically sensitive in Washington because any such deal intersects with regional security calculations, non-proliferation standards, and U.S. influence in the Gulf. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said on July 23rd that his government would move to punish those responsible for a leaked exam papers scandal. His pledge of swift and stringent action came after thousands of demonstrators protested the previous day, with anger centered on allegations that cheating and paper leaks had corrupted competitive examinations that shape access to jobs, universities, and public sector careers across India. Exam systems in India affect millions of young people every year, and allegations of fraud strike directly at one of the country's most sensitive pressure points: youth unemployment and competition for scarce opportunities. When question papers are leaked or recruitment tests are compromised, the damage extends well beyond one test date, undermining trust in state institutions. The spread of the protests has turned what might have remained an administrative scandal into a national political challenge for Modi and the Bharatiya Janata Party. By promising punishment, the Prime Minister has raised expectations that investigators, education authorities, and state governments will produce arrests, prosecutions, and safeguards quickly. The World Health Organization said the Ebola outbreak declared in May in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda has killed more than 1,030 people, after confirmed cases in the DRC continued to rise. Health officials said children have been hit hardest, highlighting the strain on treatment, tracing, and vaccination efforts in a country that has repeatedly confronted Ebola while also managing insecurity and weak health infrastructure in its eastern provinces. The WHO also warned that the true scale of the outbreak could be 2 to 4 times larger than official figures, a gap that points to under-detection in affected communities and the difficulty of reaching every chain of transmission. This warning is significant in the DRC, where Ebola control depends on rapid isolation, safe burials, and public trust, and where any delay in reporting can allow the virus to spread farther before health teams can intervene. Crossing the 1,000 death threshold gives the outbreak major regional significance because the DRC has experienced several deadly Ebola emergencies in the past, making this latest surge a test of whether surveillance and emergency response systems strengthened after earlier crises are enough to contain a new wave. French authorities evacuated about 12,000 residents and tourists in Le Porge in southwestern France after a wildfire that began around midday on Wednesday tore through forest land near Bordeaux. Officials said most of those moved were tourists and firefighters were deployed in large numbers as the blaze advanced through a region that is heavily wooded and vulnerable during hot, dry summer conditions. The evacuation total rose after local authorities ordered thousands more people to leave on Thursday, showing how quickly the fire expanded from its initial outbreak into a broader civil protection operation. Le Porge lies in Gironde, a department that has endured destructive summer fires in recent years, and the latest blaze highlights the pressure on French emergency services in the Atlantic Southwest, where pine forests, holiday traffic, and heat can combine to turn a local ignition into a large-scale evacuation, affecting campsites, roads, and nearby communities within hours. Sources and the full written briefing are available at sitrepbrief.com.